That cheap fuel at the pump looks like a cheat code. It can cost less than regular gasoline. It can burn cleaner in some ways. And in the right engine, it can even help produce more power. So why is everybody not using it? Because flex fuel has one big secret. It may save you money at the pump, but your car may need more of it to go the same distance. Let's dive into it. Here, right now. When people say flex fuel, they are usually talking about cars that can run on regular gasoline, ethanol blends, or a high ethanol fuel called E85. E85 sounds like it means 85% ethanol all the time. But in the real world, especially in the United States, E85 can contain anywhere from about 51% to 83% ethanol, depending on the season and location. Flex fuel vehicles are designed to adjust to these changing blends automatically. That is why they are called flexible fuel vehicles. They are not magic engines. They are petrol engines with fuel system parts, sensors, and computer programming designed to handle higher ethanol blends safely. And ethanol is where the story gets interesting. Ethanol is an alcohol-based fuel usually made from crops like corn, sugarcane, or other plant materials. When blended with gasoline, it changes how the fuel behaves inside the engine. One of the biggest advantages is octane. Octane is not a measure of how powerful a fuel is. It is a measure of how resistant the fuel is to knocking. Knocking happens when fuel burns at the wrong time inside the engine. It is bad for performance, bad for efficiency, and over time, bad for the engine. Higher octane fuel can tolerate more pressure before it ignites in the wrong way. That is why E85 is loved by many performance car owners. In the right engine, with the right tune, higher ethanol fuel can allow more boost, more timing, and more aggressive combustion. That can mean more horsepower. But here's the catch. E85 does not automatically make every car faster. If you pour E85 into a normal gasoline car that is not designed for it, you are not unlocking hidden power. You may be creating problems. The engine computer may not know how to adjust properly. The fuel system may not deliver enough fuel. Some parts may not be built for high ethanol use. So the real rule is simple. E85 can increase performance only when the vehicle is designed, converted, or properly tuned for it. For ordinary drivers, the bigger attraction is not horsepower, it is money. In places like France, superethanol E85 became popular because it can be much cheaper per liter than regular petrol. France also allows approved E85 conversion boxes for compatible petrol cars, which is one reason the fuel gained attention among everyday drivers. In the United States, E85 also attracts attention whenever gasoline prices rise, especially in areas where it is available at a noticeable discount. At first glance, the math looks easy. If gasoline costs more and E85 costs less, E85 wins. But fuel cost is not just price per gallon, it is price per mile. And this is where many people get surprised. Ethanol contains less energy per gallon than gasoline. That means your car usually burns more E85 to travel the same distance. According to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, E85 can reduce fuel economy and driving range by about 20 to 30% compared with gasoline. So if E85 is only a little cheaper, you may not save much. But if E85 is much cheaper, the savings can be real. Imagine regular gasoline costs $4 per gallon. Now, imagine E85 costs $3 per gallon. That sounds like a 25% saving, but if your car uses around 25% more fuel on E85, the real saving may be close to zero. Now imagine E85 costs $2.50. Then the math starts looking better. That is the flex fuel trap. The pump price can look amazing, but the real question is, how far does that fuel take you? This is why smart flex fuel drivers do not only compare fuel prices, they compare cost per mile. And the answer changes from country to country, city to city, and even week to week. Now let's talk about the environmental side because that is another reason flex fuel gets attention. Ethanol comes from plants, and plants absorb carbon dioxide while growing. So compared with fossil gasoline, ethanol can reduce certain life cycle emissions depending on how it is produced, transported, and blended. but it is not a perfect fuel. Growing crops uses land, water, fertilizers, farm equipment, and processing energy. So the environmental benefit depends on the full chain, not just what comes out of the exhaust pipe. That is why flex fuel is not a simple hero or villain. It is a trade-off. And trade-offs are where the real story lives. For some drivers, flex fuel makes a lot of sense. If you already own a factory flex fuel vehicle, if E85 is widely available near you, and if the price gap is big enough, it can lower your fuel spending. For performance enthusiasts, E85 can be exciting because high ethanol blends can support serious power gains when the engine, fuel pump, injectors, and tuning are ready for it. But for a normal driver with a normal gasoline car, the answer is very different. You should not use E85 unless your vehicle is flex fuel compatible or has a properly approved conversion system. A small label on the fuel cap, the owner's manual, or the vehicle specifications can usually tell you whether the car is compatible. And if it is not compatible, cheaper fuel can become an expensive mistake. That is the strange truth about flex fuel. It sounds simple from the outside. Cheaper fuel, cleaner image, more performance. But inside the engine, the story is more complicated. E85 is cheaper in many places because of ethanol production, taxation, subsidies, and local fuel policy. It can create more power because of high octane, but only if the engine can take advantage of it. It can reduce gasoline use, but it can also reduce fuel economy. It can help some drivers save money, but only when the price difference beats the mileage loss. So the next time you see E85 at the pump, do not just ask, "Is it cheaper?" Ask the better question. Is it cheaper for my car on my route at today's price? Because flex fuel is not a miracle fuel. It is a fuel with conditions. And when the conditions are right, it can be smart, cheaper, and surprisingly powerful. But when the conditions are wrong, it is just a lower-priced fuel that your car drinks faster. And that is the hidden catch behind E85. It can save money, it can increase performance, but only when your car, your fuel system, your local prices, and your expectations are all tuned for the same thing. So maybe the real secret is this. Flex fuel is not about choosing the cheapest pump. It is about understanding what that cheap fuel is actually doing after it enters your engine. And once you know that, E85 stops looking like a mystery. It becomes something much more useful, a fuel that rewards people who do the math. You know what? Sometimes the cheapest fuel is not the one with the lowest price. It is the one that gives you the best deal per mile. If this made you look at fuel pumps differently, subscribe, and share this with someone who always checks fuel prices before filling up.